You didn't want to do that, right? You have to unmute.
Yeah, I worked out.
Oh, it's worked out? Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll probably wait for a couple of minutes and let people join. 8 people have joined so far, so then we can start.
Sure.
Okay, so shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone once again to our Bhagavad Gita as it is, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. So thank you all so much for consistently joining and giving us your association. It's been a very wonderful journey with all of you. And today we are going to have a look at the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So the 13th chapter will be presented by Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Mataji. Mataji, you can now take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Preeti Vilasni Mataji. And thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us. It's so happy and so blissful to see all of you every week so consistently joining. So let's start our Bhagavad Gita as it is series, 18 chapters in 18 weeks. And we have already covered 12 chapters, and now we are in the last six chapters, the last section of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll start. We'll start with the prayers to invoke auspiciousness. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gauri Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. Wish you all a very, very happy Kartik. So, the day we met, I think so, was the very first day or one day before. Yeah, it was one day before Kartik, right? The last time we met. So, now it's the Kartik time. Wish you a very happy Kartik. So, let's move on. And first of all, we'll see the overview of chapter 12 to give our mind a quick recap of what we did and where we are heading to. Okay, so chapter 12, acronym. Yes, anyone please? Good, Jayesh Prabhu. God, Godhead, options, and dear verses. Very nice. So Prabhu is always ready, right? Very nice of you, Prabhu. Okay, so chapter 12, yes, its acronym was God, where G stands for Godhead, and where we learned to know the Godhead, to know this absolute truth. There is an impersonal form where, yes, it will reach us to take us to Godhead, but the process is very cumbersome, and it's almost indirect process. But there is another way, that is personalism way, and which is when we, in a personal form, we approach the Supreme Lord through Bhakti Yoga, then Krishna comes in the control. Krishna, he becomes the subservient to his pure devotees. So definitely this path is better. And then we did, actually it's first options, and where we got to know about two options, that how we can control our mind, then how we can engage our intelligence in Krishna consciousness, and then how we can, through regulated devotion, be Krishna conscious, and if nothing works, then how we can still work for Krishna. And then that is dhyana, jnana, and regulation. And finally were the dear verses. D stands for dear verses, where Krishna gives, so many times that how, if you do this, then you become dear to me. If you do this, then you are dear to me. But finally he says the primary devotion is that if you surrender unto me, if you do everything for me, with me keeping me in consciousness of whatever you do, then Krishna says, well, that devotee becomes very, very dear to me. So there we ended. And now we will have our 13th chapter, which is entitled Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Right? So the first 6 chapter, Krishna showed how karma leads to bhakti. Right? He talks about karma yoga, nishkam karma yoga, sakam karma yoga, but then how it leads to bhakti. In the middle 6 chapters, Krishna talks about pure bhakti yoga, leading to Ananya Bhakti. Talks about Bhakti Yoga, but it leads to pure Bhakti Yoga, that is Ananya Bhakti, that is pure devotional service. Now, the final 6 chapters that we are heading to, from 13 to 18, it focuses on Jnana, that is transcendental wisdom. But it also helps us to become detached from all those materialistic aspirations we may be having, but simultaneously becoming attached to Krishna. Yes, like don't think that it's totally purely about Jnana Yoga. Like what's the point of learning Jnana Yoga when we have already learned about the Bhakti Yoga, which is the essence of everything. But it says that it will help us to get detached from materialistic aspirations, but also it will simultaneously give us the attachment to Krishna consciousness. Yes, simultaneously we'll become Krishna conscious, or will become attached to Krishna, because in the final the verses of the chapter, jnana or knowledge, it leads also to bhakti, where Krishna will describe that how first jnana mishra bhakti, but then it leads to kevala bhakti, that is to the Supreme Lord. So that's why this whole section is also very important, because in this, Jnana will lead to Kevala Bhakti in the 18th chapter. So now, particularly in this chapter, that is chapter number 13, Krishna speaks in detail about the knowledge of the body, of the Jiva, that is the soul, the Paramatma, that is the super soul, and the Prakriti, that is the material nature. So we all know that how this entire Bhagavad Gita deals in 5 subjects matter. Right? What are those 5 subjects matter? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Karma, and Kala. So this 13th chapter deals with Jiva, Paramatma, that is the super soul, Ishvara, the Prakriti, and of course about the body. So this chapter starts like many other chapters where Arjuna put forward his wonderful, intelligent questions. So this chapter also starts with it. So let's see the acronym first. So the acronym of this chapter is WISE, where W stands for wise questions, which span over verse number 1 to 7, where Arjuna will be asking very, very intelligent questions. I stands for items of knowledge, like what actually is needed to know this knowledge. So that we will do from verse number 8 to 12. Then S stands for soul and super soul, that is from verses number 13 to 19. And finally E, we have enjoyer, that is from verses 20 to 35. So in all, there are 35 verses in this chapter from 1 to 35. This entire chapter has been collaborated, and we have, this acronym is there, that is WISE. So this chapter starts off with Arjuna's wonderful, wise, intelligent questions. So first we'll do the verse. That is 13.1. Questions by Arjuna. Arjuna vacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnam cha etid veditum ichhami jnanam jnanam cha Keshava. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." Right? So here, this actually this entire, the Vedic philosophy, it's supposed to be crystal clear, So therefore, these subjects have been asked by Arjuna, so that, the entire philosophy is crystal clear to the person who is reading or the listener, right? And Krishna spends the entire chapter in discussing about these subject matter. So I have already highlighted the points. So these are the 6 questions he asked for the Prakritim, Purusham, Kshetram, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Jnanam. Okay, so we'll do it I've already written out. So what were the 6 questions? Prakriti, he asked of the Prakriti, that what is the material nature. Then he asked about Purusha, who is the enjoyer. Then he asked about Kshetram, what is the field. Then Kshetrajna, who is the knower of the field. Then Jnanam, what is the knowledge. And Jnanam, what is the object of knowledge. So definitely, these questions, just listening to that question sounds so much interesting. And definitely this chapter will be little technical, so please bear with me. But if you just listen to it with open ears, then probably it will be very simple. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So just need your support on that. Okay. So these were the 6 questions. And right there, Krishna also answers these questions. But before that, we'll just say. So, okay, I'll put up the answers also, so that will be easy for you to understand. So Krishna says, these are the answers by Krishna. So he answers 3 questions right now, which is Kshetra. He answers about Kshetra, that Kshetra, the field, is actually the body. Then what is the Kshetrajna, who is the knower of the field? Then he says soul. Then he says jnanam. What is knowledge? So he says the perfect knowledge is to know of the material body and its knowers, the soul and the super soul. So what is the perfect knowledge? To know what is body, what is soul, and what is super soul. That is the perfect knowledge. So this is the three answers that he gives. Okay, so we'll elaborate more on it. Okay, so Krishna, says that body or kshetra is the field of activity for the individual soul. So the conditioned soul, we all know how it is trapped in the material existence, right? And according to the capacity to dominate this material nature or to enjoy sense gratification, that particular soul, that particular conditioned soul is given the body, is given a particular type of body with a particular type of material senses. Okay, so that that soul can enjoy or suffer or whatever, can participate through that body, and that body becomes the field of the activity for that soul, because all the activities are performed through this body, right? So getting the particular body, getting the particular types of material senses becomes the field of the activity. So what is the field? This body is the field. Okay, so just remember, what is kshetra? This body is the kshetra, because it's only through the body that a particular activity can be carried. Then, what is Kshetrajna? He says soul. The knower of the body is actually the individual soul, the jiva, the living entity, the soul within the body. That is Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means the knower of the body, the knower of the field. So, but we should understand that, see, now, if I say that this is my hand, these are my fingers. So, who is mine? Soul is there, right? And I don't say that I am the hand or I am this finger. No, we don't say that. We say this is my hand. My hand means hand is different and my is different, right? So this living soul or the jiva is entirely different from the body. Those who think and identify themselves as body, they are not the knowers of the field. That's what Krishna says. The knower of the field is only the one who knows the difference between soul and the body. Those who identify themselves as a body, they are not Kshetrajna. They are not the knower of the field. For example, if I say I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm Indian, I'm American, well, these are all the bodily designations, right? But the knower is different from that body, right? So therefore, Krishna says that Kshetrajna is the knower of the body who knows that, yes, there is a difference between me and my body. That is, there is a difference between the soul and the body. But then Krishna says, there is another Kshetrajna, right? He says, I myself is also Kshetrajna, or the knower of the body. How do we understand this? Very simple. We know that Krishna is there. He is establishing his supremacy here. And we know that Krishna is there in the heart of everybody as Paramatma, right? So as a Paramatma, he also knows about our body. But he not only knows about the body in which he resides, but because he resides in everybody's body, so he knows about everybody's bodies, right? He knows everybody. So therefore, he is the super soul. So he is a supreme Kshetrajna. So Kshetrajna are two. So Kshetra is field, is the body. Then Kshetrajna is the knower of the field, which is the soul, that is the jiva. And that jiva who knows the difference between the body and the soul. And finally, Krishna says that I am also Kshetrajna because I know not only about the body, but also about other bodies also, right? So I am the supreme Kshetrajna. So there are two knowers. There are two knowers or the two Kshetrajna of the body. One is the soul, that is Jiva, who is the knower of the body, and another is super soul, or you can say Paramatma, who is the Pradhan Kshetragna, right? The chief knower of everyone's body. So he is infallible and supreme, whereas Jiva is fallible and is always subordinate to the Supreme Lord. So this is the technical point, but if you have understood this, it will make a huge difference in understanding the rest of the chapter. Okay, so again, I'll repeat in crux that Kshetra is the body, Kshetragna, that is the knower of the body, is the soul. But then Krishna says that I am the Pradhana Kshetragna. Why? Because I also know not only one body, but every bodies, other bodies also. Right? So these were the 6 questions, and these are the 2 answers right now. We'll not go with the third one right now. So 2 answers, and we'll just go little detail just to make sure whether this part is clear or not, because it is very, very important. It has to be clear. Now to this, we'll cite up an example that there is a farmer who is tilting a land, right? So now we can see the farmer is tilting a land. Now, what is the field of activity for this farmer? Anyone wants to unmute and say, what is the field of activity? What is the field for this farmer?
Agriculture, Mataji.
No, means I mean to say, like what is the field of activity? For us, like the body is there. For this farmer, the field of activity is where he is performing this activity. Land.
Mother.
Yes, very good. So the land is the, what do you say, is the field of this activity. Okay. Something happened, I think so. Okay. So land is the field of the activity. Now, but does the land and the farmer same? No, farmer is different, land is different, right? How can the farmer say, I am the land? He cannot say, I am the land, right? Because he is not the land. Land is just the field of his activity where he is performing a certain activity, being a farmer. But he is different from that land. So there is a difference. Now, this field is actually, this Kshetra is actually this land. And Kshetragna is this farmer, because he knows everything about his patch of land. He is the knower of his land. So therefore, he is the Kshetragna. But then what happened is, yes, a farmer knows, and there is a difference between the farmer. But then there is a king. There is a king who knows not only about the land of his kingdom, of his own palace, but he also know all the properties that are being possessed by all the individual citizens in his kingdom, right? So here, king is who? He is a Pradhan Kshetragna. Why? Because he knows not only about his place, about his palace, but he knows about all the lands that is being possessed by all the individuals in his kingdom. So he is what? He is Kshetragna, but he is Pradhan Kshetragna. So the land is actually Kshetra, the farmer is a Kshetragna, but then there is a king who is the supreme Kshetragna, right? Who is a Pradhan Kshetragna. Let's see another example. Painter. So there is a painter, right? And there is a painting. And then there is an easel, the canvas. So what is this canvas? This canvas is actually the field of an activity of this painter, right? So painting is there on the, the painter is painting, right? So he is the knower. He knows about what he is painting. So the field is the easel or the canvas on which he's painting, and the painter itself is the Kshetragna or the knower. So I hope this is clear, because this has to be really clear before we move forward. Okay, these 2 points have to be Okay, Kshetragna can also be same as Purusha enjoy. We will see later, Prabhu, because Purusha question another. There is another question, right? Remember
जी जी
that how he asked the 6 questions he asked, right? So
जी
Purusha, he asked for the another question Purusha. Right now
ओके
we are dealing only with Kshetra, that is the field, and the knower of the field. Who is the Purusha and what it is, we'll go later because that will definitely cover.
जी जी थैंक यू
Good. So till now, I hope this is clear. So now we will again, Krishna dives deep into it about Kshetra and Kshetragna. So he deals 6 topics regarding these two subject matter. Okay, Kshetra is the field and Kshetragna is the knower of the field. So he talks about the composition of the body, the qualities of the body, the changes that the body undergoes, the origin of the body, the identity of the knower of the body, and what are the powers of the knower of the body. So all these 6 topics, then Krishna goes slowly one by one. Okay, that we will see. Okay, so now comes the composition of the body. So in composition of the body, Krishna describes that there are 24 elements, and it is being described in chapter number 13, verse number 6 to 7. I'm not going in detail about it, but I'm just taking out the summary from these two verses that what is it is talking about. So there are 24 elements by which this entire material body is made up of. So he says that there are 5 gross elements which are known as Pancha Mahabhuta. Pancha means 5 and Mahabhuta means the gross elements. And what are they? Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So these are the 5 Panchabhutas of which this entire body is made up of. Then he says that they are 5 knowledge acquiring senses, that is Jnana Indriyas. So they are eyes. Jnana Indriyas means through which you get some knowledge. So eyes is one of the sense. Why? Because when you see something, you get knowledge. Okay, this is book, this is phone, this is watch. You get some knowledge, right? Nose, you smell, you come to know, okay, what kind of smell is it? Jasmine, or it is mogra, or it is sandalwood? You get some knowledge about it, right? So eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin, these are known as 5 knowledge acquiring senses, that is Jnana Indriya. So 5 plus 10. Then he says there are 5 working senses through which you do some karya, some work, some activity. That is through voice, like I'm speaking, I'm doing some activity. So it's done through my voice. Then legs, when we go to temple, right? And when we use our legs in going to temple, right? So legs, hands, anus, and genitals, these are known as karma indriyas. Right? So 5 are Jnanendriyas and 5 are Karmanendriyas. So 5 plus 5 plus 5, 15. Then he says there are 5 sense objects through which these senses interact, and they are form, smell, sound, touch, and taste. So these are again 5. So 5, 5, 10, 5, 15, and 5, 20. But he says 24. Then what is the four other things are? Mind, which is also regarded as the 6th sense, like this, 5 senses. It is also the 6th sense, then intelligence, then the false ego, and the pradhan, that is unmanifested, that is prakriti or pradhan, right? So all these 24 elements constitute one body, and this is the field of activity. Right? The body is the field of activity. So this is how this entire composition of the body is made up of. So you should know about all this. What are Panchabhutas? What are knowledge acquiring senses? What are working senses? What are objects of senses? Then mind, intelligence, false ego, and pradhan. Yes, Jayesh Prabhu.
Mataji, I never got this ether thing. So yes, earth, water, fire, air, these all make sense.
There is space.
But how come like body is made up with space? That seems
Because
like never clear.
or sky, right? Everything requires space, and the space or sky is there. It's all pervading. It's everywhere,
Mhm.
right? Even a pot, also
Mhm.
there is some space, right? There is sky. That is all pervading. It is everywhere. So that
Okay.
is what is ether.
Okay.
Okay.
And when we say like we should take all these 5 elements, earth is like whatever we eat, and then water is of course the drinking water, and fire element is we get it from the sunlight, air is by
Fire is the
breathing.
digestion that is there in the body. That Jatan
Okay.
Agni is there, right?
Okay, and air is the one that we breathe, but
There are
again, how is
five kind of airs, not
so
only.
when we say ki we should take ether as well, so what does that mean?
Ether is Prabhu self-pervading. It is there always.
Okay, we don't need to
It's
do
just a
anything with it.
space sound.
Okay.
Okay.
And the last one as well, Mataji, this unmanifested, what
Yeah,
exactly?
unmanifested, I'll go in. Actually, it is Pradhan, or it is a kind of a Mahat Tattva that is there, because all these air, water, fire, air, ether, they are in this unmanifested form in the start. I'll go in detail when we deal with
Okay. Ji,
but I'll tell
thank
you.
you.
And
Ji.
that is what is unmanifested Pradhan.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Thank you,
all
Mataji.
these combined 24 elements makes the interactions of one field of activity. Okay, so this is about the composition, right? We did composition, and now we'll do qualities of the body. So what are the qualities of the body? That is, the body possesses like ichha, a desire that is manifested in the body. Dvesha, we get a hatred. Sukham, we get happiness. Dukkham, we get distress. Chetna, that is the consciousness or the life symptoms. And Triti, that is convictions. So these are the different qualities of the body that is always there along with the body. Then the changes the body undergoes. We all know the changes. We all know about it, that there is birth, and then we grow. Then, some maintenance is there. Then we come to some maturity level. And then finally the body dwindles, and then the death. So these are the 6 changes that every body goes through. Okay. So then the life lesson we'll see that Krishna knows everything. So that completes actually our first section, that is W, that is wise questions or intelligent questions. So now the life lesson is that Krishna knows everything. So that also refutes the point that I am God. Sometimes people say I am God, but now we know that I'm not God. God is different. He is the Pradhan Kshetragna, and I am just a Kshetragna. So how can I be God? So that also refutes this point, and not also refutes the point that I am body. I am not body. Just like the farmer cannot say that I am land. Farmer is different. Land is different. Farmer cannot say that I am land. So this whole section refutes these 2 points, that I am God and I am body. And also it establishes the point that Krishna, being the Pradhan Kshetragna, he knows everything. So that covers our first point. So I hope these 2 sections are clear, because Kshetra and Kshetragna are very, very important. If we are fixed in this, then it's easy to understand the rest of the chapter. So now after that, Krishna describes Jnanam, that is knowledge. So Jnanam, he says, is the perfect knowledge of the material body and both the knowers. Both the knowers means the soul and the super soul. That is what Krishna says. One who knows about this, one who knows that, okay, body is different, Kshetragna is different, Pradhan Kshetragna is different. If you know this entire knowledge, that perfect knowledge constitutes this Jnana. That is what is Jnana. So out of 6, Krishna has already answered 3 questions of Arjuna. Now he will elaborate on this further. So we have discussed about the composition, qualities, changes, and life lessons. Now comes the items of knowledge. Okay. Now comes the items of knowledge. So we have already answered 3 questions. Kshetra, Kshetragna, and Jnanam. Kshetra is the body. Kshetragna, there are 2 knowers. One is soul, another is super soul. Soul is just the Kshetragna. Super soul is Pradhan Kshetragna. And Jnanam is one who knows the knowledge. That person knows about Kshetra and Kshetragna. The knowledge of both is what is the perfect knowledge, which is Jnanam. So these 3 questions Krishna has already answered. Now comes the items of knowledge. What do we mean by items of knowledge? So theoretically, now we know that we are not the body. We are spirit soul. But how do we know this? Through acquiring knowledge, only we can know this. Through acknowledge, through jnana, we will come to know that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. If I don't have that knowledge, then how will I know that I am not this body? Yeah. But question is that how does this knowledge comes? Do we have to join some school to get this knowledge? Well, this knowledge doesn't come by joining any school, any college or university. This knowledge is the spiritual knowledge, and spiritual knowledge has to be revealed in the heart of a deserving or desiring person. A person who wants to desire, a person who deserves this knowledge gets revealed in the heart. So it means that we have to become a suitable patra or a vessel through which we can know this knowledge. Because if we become a suitable vessel to hold this knowledge, only then the knowledge will be revealed. Like for example, in the 11th chapter, the universal form, Krishna says, when Arjuna asked for the Virat Roop, then Krishna says, well, your eyes cannot behold this Roop. This my universal form, your eyes cannot behold. You have to have Divya Chakshu or the divine eyes. So only the divine eyes can behold my universal form. Similarly, we right now, we are so conditioned that we are not eligible to deserve this knowledge. But Krishna says that you have to become an eligible person, a qualified person. Only then this knowledge will be revealed in your heart, because this knowledge cannot be taken in any academic school or joining in some universities. No, you cannot have this knowledge. It has to be revealed. And the real method of acquiring this knowledge is the cultivation of some divine qualities. We should have some divine qualities. Only then this knowledge will be revealed. And out of those divine qualities, the most important quality is humility, which is the foremost. So we have to understand that knowledge is not about, some information or some kind of memorization. No, that is not knowledge, but rather it's about our exemplary behavior, our character, and our practical behavior. That is what is this entire knowledge is. So one who actually nurtures that saintly qualities, that person experiences the change in their heart, which helps them to disentangle them from all the material conditioning, and especially the deep-rooted identification that a body has, which the body is carrying from many births. It gets disentangled. Okay, so it's only through the practical behavior, through personal character, and of course we have to be exemplary. So what are those qualities? That we will see one by one. So this is the process of acquiring knowledge, that is jnanam. So 20 elements of knowledge are being described. First is humility, that is no expectation of respect. Next is the pridelessness, not being anxious to be famous. Non-violence, not putting down others into distress. Tolerance, bearing insults and dishonor. Taror api shahishuna, right? Being tolerant like a tree. Then simplicity. It's very important how we have to be straightforward and non-diplomatic. Then serving a bona fide guru without motivation. This is the key point, the guru ashraya, guru pada ashraya that we have to take in order to acquire that knowledge. Then cleanliness, yes, cleanliness externally and internally. Then steadiness, we have to be steady while doing any kind of devotional service in order to progress in our spiritual life. Then self-control, rejecting all unfavorable things that is not conducive for our devotional service. We have to reject that. And so for that, we have to have some kind of self-control. Then renunciation of the objects of sense gratification. Like we have no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. These are the objects of sense gratification. So we have to learn to renounce them. Then no false ego, no identification with body. Then perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. We have to be cognizant that these are the 4 major problems that we have to deal with. Rest of the material problems are temporary. They'll come and then go. But these are the 4 major problems of everybody's life. That is birth, death, old age, and disease. Then we should practice some detachment. Then freedom from the entanglement from children, wife, home, because these are all binding us to this material world. Then even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events. Then constant and unalloyed devotion to me means Krishna, because all this Krishna is quoting. So constant and unalloyed devotion to me with undeviating attention. This is very, very important. Then secluded living, living in devotee association. Secluded living also doesn't mean that you just renounce everything, go to the forest. No, that's not this for this age. So secluded living means living in sajatiya sangha, like-minded devotees, living in devotee association. Then detachment from the general mass of people. Why? Because they're going to talk about materialistic thing, and that's going to deviate our mindset. Then accepting the importance of self-realization. And finally, philosophical search for the absolute truth. So all these 20 qualities, out of these 20 qualities, actually 18 qualities are present in the Jnanis also, those who practice Jnana Yoga. But Krishna says that these 2 qualities, that is serving a bona fide spiritual master and constant and unalloyed devotion to me with undeviating attention, actually brings out a person to be a devotee, right? So this is very, very important. And of course, humility. Humility is actually the first step to take this ladder, to take this ladder. Humility is the first step. And then because of humility, you will be able to serve. You will be able to submit yourself submissively to a spiritual master. And once you serve a bona fide spiritual master, then constant and unalloyed devotion will be there, because the spiritual master will guide us into this path. So these are the 20 elements that is being described. So as I said, that all this amanitvam, that is humility, and the constant and unalloyed devotion of Krishna to Krishna with undeviating attention is the spiritual qualification of devotee. The other qualities will automatically manifest for those who have pure devotion in their heart. It will automatically manifest. We don't have to put extra endeavor to be non-violent, to be prideless, to be tolerant, to be simple, to be non-diplomatic. We don't have to put extra effort on that. If we focus on one quality, that is humility, and then we serve a bona fide spiritual master without motivation, then the spiritual master will guide us, and then we will be able to perform constant and unalloyed devotion to the Supreme with undeviating attention. So this is how, these are the different qualities that Krishna talks about, that how having all these 20 qualities, once we get, we become a proper patra, a proper vessel in which this entire knowledge, this transcendental knowledge can be revealed in our heart. I see one question. Most of the time we are bodily conception, how to apply our understanding. That's what I was talking about, Kshetra and Kshetragna. So this is very, very important. So first we have to really stress ourselves to know that I am different from this body. No bodily conception. If we are still in the bodily conception of life, then, we have a long mile to go. So that's why Krishna is saying that now, at least theoretically, we should understand. I know practically it may take ages or many lifetimes, at least for me, but at least theoretically we should know that I am different from the body. Soul is different, body is different, super soul is different. I cannot be God and I cannot be body also. I am different from body, I am different from super soul. So this is about the entire process of jnana. So I stands for items of knowledge. So these are the 20 items of knowledge. Like if we develop all these 20 items, then we become the eligible candidate to have this proper knowledge. Okay, so there we end this second section and see the life lesson. The life lesson is that in order to acquire knowledge, we must be humble and ready to accept a bona fide spiritual master, serve him submissively, ask him important and submissive and questions that will help us to enlighten on this subject matter. So as we know, pariprashnena sevaya, we have to ask questions, but also we have to serve the spiritual master because he is tattvadarshina. He knows the absolute truth. So one who knows can tell us, okay, what is there, right? So we have to acquire knowledge and we must be humble and ready to accept. And that can happen only when we submit ourselves to a bona fide spiritual master because he is Tattva Darshina. He is the knower of the absolute truth. So now S. S stands for soul and super soul. Okay, soul and super soul. Remember the acronym WISE. W stands for wise questions. I stands for the items of knowledge. S stands for soul and super soul. So now we will see what's there next. Krishna has to unfold. So after answering 3 questions, till now he is still stuck on these 3 questions. Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Jnanam. What is the perfect knowledge? Now after answering these 3 questions in detail, Krishna is going to talk about the 4th question, that is Jnanam, that is the object of knowledge. So he describes Jnanam. What is to be known? Object of knowledge. So what is to be known? An answer that Krishna says that the object of knowledge are basically 2. What is to be known is 2 things to be known. The first is the Jiva, Jivatma, that is individual soul. And the second is the Paramatma or the super soul, who is the expansion of the representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Because Krishna's expansion as Paramatma is there in the heart of everybody. So this is what he says, that Jnanam, object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge? Is to know Jivatma and to know Paramatma. Is to know the soul and to know the super soul. That is what the object of knowledge is there. Now Krishna tells that actually what are the qualities of the super soul? What are the qualities of Paramatma? Then Krishna describes about this. And he says that the qualities of super soul is that he is everywhere. Everywhere are his hands and legs. And that we have seen in the universal form in chapter number 11. Everywhere are his eyes, hands, and faces. Everywhere are his ears. He is all pervading. He is the source of all senses. He is Rishikesha. He is the devoid of all material senses. He is unattached. He is aloof, though he is the maintainer of all. And that we read in the 7th chapter, where the example or the analogy of a necklace was being given, that how the different pearls are strung to, the beads are strung. How they are strung? Because a thread is passing through all those beads. The thread is invisible, but there is something that is going through the beads that is holding the beads together to form a beautiful necklace. So similarly, Krishna is the thread who is passing through all the beads, making this beautiful necklace. But he is unattached and he is yet the maintainer of all. He is the master of the modes and yet he is transcendental to them, right? He is outside, he is inside of all moving and non-moving beings. Ito Narsimha, Paratho Narsimha. He is subtle and thus no knowable by material sense, and not knowable. I'm sorry, it should be not. He is subtle and thus not knowable by material senses. Why? Because he is supreme. He is spiritual. So how can we know about him through our material senses? It's not possible. So these are the different qualities. Then, although far, far away, he is yet near to all, because he is the one who is residing in each and everybody's heart as Paramatma. Yes, he is in his own dham, in his Golok Vrindavan, in his Vaikuntha dham, but still he is there with all of us as Paramatma in our heart. He is never divided, although he appears to be divided among all living beings. Yes, it looks like that every person has its own Paramatma, but that Paramatma is actually one. He is expanding himself into all those species of life. He is situated as one. He is the maintainer of all beings and their destroyer and creator. He is the source of all light of the luminous objects. Krishna says, I am the sun. He is beyond the darkness of matter. He is knowledgeable. He is the object of knowledge, and he is also the goal of knowledge. Right? This is very, very important. Krishna himself is knowledge. Krishna is the object of knowledge. He is Jnanam, right? He is the object of knowledge, and he is also the goal of all knowledge, because Krishna says, Vedamscha Sarvar Aham Eva Vedyo. If you are reading the entire Vedas and if you don't know me, then reading all the Vedas is simply the Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. It is simply the waste of time. So the essence of all Vedas is to know Krishna. So if we have that knowledge, our knowledge will lead us to the goal of knowledge. That is what is Krishna. And finally, he is situated in everyone's heart. So Krishna himself describes this whole, there are, different verses that describe about all these qualities. So I have not taken the Sanskrit part, but I've just taken their translation part. Sorry, the English version, so that it's easy to understand. Okay, so this is about, Krishna is talking about, sorry. This is Krishna is talking about the object. So what are the two real objects? Jivatma and Paramatma. So Krishna talks about the qualities of Paramatma. Now Krishna will talk about, so first this is Jnanam part, right? And we have covered it. So what's the life lesson? So life lesson is that, yes, if all understanding all these different, sorry, give me a minute, please. Sorry. So knowing all these different qualities of super soul, what is left with us? The life lesson that is left with us is to give control to Krishna. Don't be the controller of yourself. We cannot be the controller. We are just the minute controllers. That's why we are to an extent an Ishvara, but we are not Parameshwara, right? So Parameshwara is Krishna, and he is the supreme controller. So after knowing the entire qualities of Krishna, what's the point of thinking, I am the doer and let me only handle all the things? No, let's give the control to Krishna. Just like Arjuna gave. When Arjuna and Duryodhan, they went to Krishna to ask for help for this Kurukshetra war, what did Arjuna opted for? Arjuna opted for Krishna. Though Krishna said, I will not be taking any weapon in the war, still Arjuna said, I want you, because you will be the controller. You become my charioteer and you drive my chariot. So this is the lesson that we also get. Knowing all the qualities of Paramatma and seeing our insignificant, minute nature, we should understand that we are nowhere we will be able to stand. So better invite Krishna. Oh Krishna, you are sitting in my heart, just like two birds are sitting on the same tree. One bird is busy eating the fruits of the tree, and another bird is simply watching. Now that bird is simply watching, and that bird who is watching is Paramatma, who is simply watching, and the bird that is eating is the soul. is enjoying the fruits of the tree. But the moment the soul realizes that, okay, no, this is not the time for me to enjoy. Let me acknowledge the Paramatma who is sitting beside me. So it turns the face towards that Paramatma and says, oh, you are here. Now, why don't you please take control? Please take control of my life. Be the charioteer of my life. Give our control to Krishna. So this is the life lesson. Yes, we have to give control to Krishna. Okay, so Gyanam is also super soul. That is Supreme Kshetragya. Yes, Gyanam is, actually there are two. One is Gyanam means the object of knowledge. So the object of knowledge is Jivatma and Paramatma. Recognizing what is the position of Jivatma, how Jivatma is so fallible and so conditioned and so subservient, and understanding the position of Paramatma, that is the supreme Kshetragna, to understand him, that how he is infallible, he is the supreme controller, he is the supreme proprietor. To understand this, okay? So that is Gyanam, the object of knowledge. Yes, actually both are the object of knowledge, but the real object of knowledge is to recognize the presence of Paramatma. Okay, so that completes the third section, that is soul and super soul. So wise, W-I-S. And now we'll come to the fourth, that is enjoyer. Who is the enjoyer? So that we will see now. So Krishna has already described all this. Now in the final section, Krishna will describe the final two terms left, right? Prakriti, Purusha, and their roles. Okay, so out of these 6 questions, 4 are already answered. Kshetragna, Kshetra, Kshetragna, Jnanam, and Gyanam. Kshetra is the body. Kshetragna, there are 2, that is soul and the super soul, knower of the body. And third is Jnanam. Knowing the Kshetra and Kshetragna is the perfect knowledge. And fourth is Gyanam. What is the object of knowledge? Is to understand Paramatma and Jivatma and the relation between Jivatma and Paramatma. So that is the object. And the real object of knowledge is to understand the super soul. This is all 4 questions answered. Now there are 2 more questions, that is Prakriti and Purusha. So in the final section, Krishna will describe these 2 terms. Now, the conditioned souls, we all know we have the desire. Desire what? Desire to control or to enjoy the matter, that is Prakriti. And it is this enjoying spirit that we have, that we want to become the enjoyer. We want to become the Ishvara, to enjoy this Prakriti. Actually, this spirit of enjoying is the one that binds us to this material world. The super soul, however, is the actual enjoyer, is the actual Purusha, and everything that is material nature and the living entity or the living souls, they are ultimately meant for his enjoyment, for the supreme Purusha's enjoyment. Just as you pour water over the roots of a tree. So what happens? The entire tree nourishes or energizes, because the trunk, the branches, the twigs, everything gets water, everything gets the nourishment. Similarly, just offering worship or performing some service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pleasure and satisfaction actually brings the satisfaction to all the living entities. So therefore, he is the Parama Purusha, right? So we know about Purusha. So there are 2 Purusha. One is ourselves. We are also the Purusha. Why? Because we are enjoying, but our enjoyment is very minute. And because of this minute intelligence, that free will we have, and we are using it in our enjoyment to enjoy this material nature, is what is binding us in this material world. So we are Purusha, but to a very minute extent. But then there is a supreme Purusha, right? There is a supreme Purusha. And when we do activity to satisfy that supreme Purusha, we also get satisfied. Now this is about Purusha. Okay, so fifth question also answered. What is Purusha? Two Purushas. One is Jiva and another is Paramatma. Jiva is also enjoying, but to a minute extent, and because of that minute extent he is enjoying, is binding, it's getting entangled in this material world. But then there is Supreme Purusha, and ultimately it's Jiva's duty to perform all his services for the enjoyment of that Supreme Purusha. So this is Purusha is covered. Now comes Prakriti. What is this Prakriti? As Jayesh Prabhu was also asking, unmanifested, right? What is that 24th element? That is what is Prakriti. So what actually happened is that before the creation, the material nature and the living entity, they are there in the body of Karanodakshai Vishnu, or you can say Mahavishnu, right? Who is lying on the Karana ocean, that is causal ocean. Right now, at the time of creation, what happened, that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Mahavishnu, that Karnodakshai Vishnu, he gives a glance on that unmanifested cloud, that is Pradhan, that I was talking about. All this material Prakriti is combined together, and it is there in an unmanifested form, means it has not come into being, because the creation has yet not happened, but it is there, it is eternal, right? It's just, it is not manifested, it has not come into being, but it is there. So what happened, that Supreme Lord, that Supreme Mahavishnu, Karanodakshai Vishnu, he glances on that unmanifested Pradhan. That is what his Pradhan is. And when through his glance there is some agitation in that Pradhan, that unmanifested form, and finally the Prakriti comes into being. Prakriti means all the five elements, the gross elements, earth, air, water, fire, ether, the subtle elements, mind, intelligence, false ego, all the Jnanendriyas, all the Karmendriyas, or the objects of senses. Everything comes into being, and that is what is Prakriti, right? The material nature. And the living entity are also given the chance to come out from this body of Mahavishnu. So this is what the Prakriti is, right? So Prakriti, Purusha, and their relationship. So this is the final two questions that Krishna will answer. So we know about now what is Purusha, and we know now what is Prakriti. So now we will see the qualities of three of them: the qualities of Jiva, who is Purusha, the quality of a super soul, who is a Parama Purusha, and the qualities of Prakriti. So yes, this Jiva is beginningless, right? We all know soul cannot be destroyed, cannot be created. We all read the characteristics of the soul in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now, qualities of Prakriti is also beginningless, because I remember I told you that Bhagavad Gita deals into 5 subjects matter: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Karma, and Kala. And out of this, 4 of them, that is Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, and Kala, all these are eternal. It cannot be changed. Prakriti may manifest or unmanifest, but it is eternal. It can come into being, it can go back. During the annihilation process, it goes back, but it is still there. Jiva, everything gets annihilated, but goes back into the body of Mahavishnu, but doesn't become Mahavishnu, doesn't loses its identity. It's still there. It's only karma, which is the 5th subject matter in which the Bhagavad Gita deals with, that is not eternal, because its karma can be changed. That's why we are reading Bhagavad Gita. If karma cannot be changed, then what's the point of reading this entire 18 chapters? Because we are reading it, and because after reading we are implementing it, and there is a transformation of heart, our karmas get changed. Okay, so these 4 things are eternal: Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, and Kala, that is time. So we are talking about Jiva. Yes, it is beginningless. Similarly, Prakriti is also beginningless. It may be manifested or it may be unmanifested, but it is eternal. It is always there. Whereas the super soul is the transcendental enjoyer of Jiva and of Prakriti. Then Jiva is ignorant of its own reality. We are ignorant of our reality. Prakriti actually provides the residential quarters to the Jiva. Why residential quarters? Because Prakriti gives this whole arrangement. It's through Prakriti. Remember in the start of the class, we mentioned that Prakriti gives us a particular type of kshetra, a particular type of body, a particular type of material senses through which we can enjoy in this world. Right? So Prakriti is the one that provides this entire residential quarter to the Jiva. And Super Soul is the proprietor of everything. Then qualities of Jiva is it misidentifies with the body. Why? Because we think, oh, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm a man, I'm a woman. Okay, in this life I'm American. Maybe in next life I can be a Chinese. In the third life I can be a Japanese, and then I can be an African. So what's the real identity? Nothing, right? So we misidentify ourselves. This life I am a woman, next life I may be a man, right? So this is how we misidentify ourselves with the body. Actually, we should not. So this is one of the quality of Jiva. Whereas Prakriti controls the Jiva through three modes. So you can see that picture, how we are just the puppet in the hand of these three modes. That the way they are moving the strings and we are moving. And Super Soul is simply the witness. So another quality is that he desires to enjoy in this material world. But Prakriti it is temporary manifestation. It manifests, it unmanifest. And Super Soul is permitter. Then qualities of Jiva is that it repeatedly moves from one body to another. 8,400,000 species. This cycle goes on and on and on and on. And what can stop it? The knowledge. The ignorance will help us to go into this cycle of birth and death. But the knowledge cut off this cycle. And through knowledge only, we'll get to know how we can cut off. And then we proceed on that path. Right? So it helps us to get away from this repeated cycle of birth and death. But otherwise, we are continuously moving. It's an ongoing process that is going on. Then finally, Jiva misuse of its minute free will. And it's because of that minute free will that we want to enjoy. We want to become Ishvara. We want to become controller. We want to become the master. But we cannot. It's just because of that minute free will we have, we misuse it. But if we surrender that free will also to Krishna's service, then Krishna says, I will become the charioteer of your chariot. I'll become the Sarathi. I'll become the Sarathi of your body, the charioteer of your body, and can take full control. Right? So this way we can spiritualize ourselves. So this is what is, their relationship, that how Prakriti is also beginningless, but it is the one that provides the residential quarters. Then it controls the jivas. It manifested, it unmanifest, and it keeps transforming. And then Super Soul is actually the transcendental enjoyer, the proprietor, the witness, and the permitter. In this regard, we'll see a very beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita where the Super Soul or the real Purusha is being described. Upadrishtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukto dehi asmin purusha para. Upadrishta, he is Upadrishta. Upadrishta means he is just the, overseer. He'll just oversee, just like two birds sitting on a tree. So the another bird is simply watching the another bird eating the fruits of the tree. So he is just the Upadrishta. And then he is Anumanta. Anumanta means he gives sanction. He gives this approval that, okay, whatever you are doing, do it. He is the permitter, right? So Super Soul is Upadrishta Anumanta. So Upadrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapyukto Dehismin Purusha Para. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer, Upadrishta, and a permitter, Anumanta, and who is known as the Supersoul. Now you can ask that, okay, if Krishna or the Paramatma or the Super Soul, who is the real Purusha, if he is the permitter, that means he permits everything. That means the terrorist or the people who are doing some wrong activities, are they also being permitted or given the approval by Krishna? Yes, they are also being given the approval by the Paramatma who is there in their heart, because that's the nature of a super soul. Super soul just witness, and super soul just permits. Witness till the time we don't acknowledge his cognizance. We are not cognizant of his presence. So we don't acknowledge of his presence till the time he is simply the witness. The moment we say, oh Krishna, I don't know, you are the supreme controller, please take charge of my life, then he is no more witness. Then he intervenes in our activities. Before that, he is simply the Upadrishta. He is just the overseer. And he is Anumanta, means yes, he gives the permission. He gives the permitter. He is the permitter. He gives all kind of approval. Now this we can understand that how those who are doing some bad activities, how even for them Krishna is giving the approval. Now here the example that normally Prabhupada gives is, if there is a child and the child goes to his mother and say, I want to play outside. The mother will say, well, outside is the scorching heat. You will get sick. It's a June month and you are going right in the midday when the sun is right on the top. Why you are going? You will get sick, right? So you will get some fever. Don't go out. And the child keep on insisting, no mother, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. The nature of the mother being so lovable and compassion towards the child will still say no. But if the child keeps on cribbing and keeps on requesting, keeps on insisting, what the mother will say? Finally, the mother will say, okay, go, you go. But if you get some fever or you get sick, bear the consequences. So now when the mother is saying, okay, go, is she giving approval? Is she really sanctioning the child to go out? In one sense, no, because it is not as per her desire. But because the child is insisting so much, finally mother said, okay, go. So in that way, yes, she is giving approval. But in her heart, she is not, because she is not interested that the child should go out or get sick. So she is holding on to the child. But because the child is so adamant, finally the mother say, okay, go and play. But if you get sick, you bear the consequences. Same is the Paramatma. We are so conditioned that we don't first of all acknowledge his presence, and moreover we just don't care what he says. We just want to be our own Ishvara, our own controller, and want to do on whatever we want to do because of so many conditioning we have. And finally the Paramatma also says, okay, go, do. Even if you want to steal, even if you want to tell lie, even if you want to do something wrong, go ahead and do it, but bear the consequences. That's the point that Paramatma also says. So Paramatma, in one sense, he doesn't want to give approval. He is holding on to Jiva because he's waiting for the Jiva to come back to his abode. So he wants the Jiva to indulge in all the pious activities, all the devotional activities. But the Jiva is so adamant that he wants to do something wrong. Finally, the Paramatma, as a loving mother, as a loving father, will say, okay, go, do whatever you want, but then bear the consequences. Same way, the real Purusha, the Paramatma, he is Upadrishta, he is the overseer and he is Anumanta. He gives the permission also to perform all activities. So it was important point. So I really dealt little detail about this verse. So we'll move forward. Then, okay, so after knowing all this, then Prakriti and Super Soul and everything, now Krishna says, Krishna has actually answered all the 6 questions now, right? Kshetra, Kshetragna, Jnanam, Gneya, that is object of knowledge, Purusha, and Prakriti. So all the 6 questions have been answered. Now Krishna will explain that what is the vision of one and who can understand all this entire 6 questions of subject matter in a right and proper perspective. And there Krishna describes about the Jnana Chakshu, that is the true seers about the Jiva, the Prakriti, right? So this is about the Jnana Chakshu that Krishna talks about. So this is a little deviated section, but it falls under the category of enjoyer only, because we have wise, right? So that E is enjoyer. So it falls under that only, though enjoyer broadly, terms with only soul and super soul, the supreme Purusha and the Purusha. But little deviation then Krishna finally now gives, which is also categorized in the same section, but he gives that who can have that vision of that knowledge. So for that he says is the Jnana Chakshu. Chakshu means eyes and Jnana means wisdom, knowledge. So he says, Prakrityaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasha yah pashyanti tathatmanam akartam sa pashyati. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created by material nature, and sees that the self does not do anything, actually sees. So he sees that actually who is the doer? The Prakriti is the doer. And of course, one's own desire, one's own demand, what we carry, or the free will that we carry is the doer. But the soul and the super soul, they are aloof from everything. So in this regard, we'll just quickly cite the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. We know that how Dhruva Maharaj, he wants to sit on the lap of his father, right? But then he was kicked out, and his mother, his stepmother Suruchi, said that if you want to sit on the lap of your father Uttanapat, you have to take birth from my womb, indirectly saying that you have to die and you have to take rebirth. And then when you take rebirth, then yes, you can sit on his father's lap. So Dhruva felt really offended. So he went to his own mother Suniti, and Mother Suniti, because she was so submissive, so surrendered, so she also said that actually your stepmother said the right thing. You really have to approach Narayan if you really want to sit on your father's lap. So he, at the age of 5, he left home, he went to the forest, he wanted to see and meet Narayan. But obviously, Narayan is not something that, it can be found anywhere so cheaply. So he's seeing his determination, Narad Muni came, and Narad Muni is the spiritual master of Dhruva Maharaj. So he guided him in the right perspective, that how he should meditate and how he should approach the Supreme Lord. And he did as per the instructions of Narad Muni. And finally, Krishna appeared, Lord Vishnu appeared. And there, as soon as Dhruva saw, he got that divine vision, that Jnana Chakshu he got, that, oh, I came here, I was meditating because I want a kingdom which is, I don't want to only sit on my father's lap, but now I want a kingdom which is greater than that of my grandfather, great-grandfather. Because father was Uttanapat, his grandfather was Swayambhu Manu, and his great-grandfather was Brahma. So he said that I want a kingdom which is greater than that of my great-grandfather. So he said that he basically meditated with that desire, that aspiration he had. But the moment he saw the Supreme Lord, he was into the position that, oh, what I was asking, I was simply asking for some broken pieces. But seeing you, my Lord, I got the greatest jewel, the greatest diamond I got. And I don't want any more broken pieces of glasses, broken pieces of glasses in the form of some material aspiration or material wealth. So this is what is the Jnana Chakshu. So when we have the entire knowledge of who we are, who is Krishna, what is my relationship with that Krishna, and what activities should I perform to strengthen that relationship, that is what is the Jnana Chakshu. That is what is the getting the spiritual wisdom. The spiritual wisdom is to know all this. Who am I? First of all, the first question begins with, who am I? Am I this body? Am I this kshetra? Am I this, I am this body or I am this land? No. The important thing is, who am I? I am the spirit soul. I am aloof. I am also Satchitananda, right? So developing that knowledge, and then who is Krishna? What is my relationship with him? What activities should I do? What devotional activities should I do? How do I do? Only by approaching spiritual master with humility, surrendering him into submissiveness, with submissiveness. Okay, so this is what is Jnana Chakshu. And finally, Krishna gives the Falashruti of reading this entire 13th chapter. And what he says, Kshetra Kshetrajnayorevam Antaram Jnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha Ye Viduryanti Te Param. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge, Jnana Chakshu, the difference, see, he's saying the difference between the body, the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in this material nature. What is binding me in this material nature? How I can get relief from it, can attain to the supreme goal. And the supreme goal is to be subservient to the divine couple, Shishi, Radha and Krishna. So there he answers all the question. Now, question for all of you before we end. Soul is eternal. Soul is beginningless. Soul is changeless. But nevertheless, because of being in the material body, does the soul combine with it and gets contaminated by its qualities or no? I'll repeat my question. We all know that soul is beginningless. We know soul is eternal. It is changeless. And but because that soul is in this material body, does that mean that the soul also gets contaminated by the qualities? No. Very good. Yes, we already discussed that the soul is aloof from everything. Yes, you all said that soul is aloof, though it is situated in the material body, just as the sky, although it is self-pervading, but it does not mix with anything, right? Due to its subtle nature. Similarly, the soul is also subtle in nature. It is there in the body, but it is not contaminated by the qualities of the body. So now another question, then why the jiva suffers? If soul is aloof, then why the jiva suffers? Because of karma, because of our guna. Very good. Yes, the soul suffer or quote unquote enjoys due to his misidentification with Prakriti. And due to this misidentification with the modes, the jiva thinks that he is suffering or he is enjoying. And this misidentification can be removed only through the process of Jnana Chakshu, through the process of knowledge. It can be removed. Otherwise, no, otherwise it cannot be. Okay. So here we ended the entire chapter. Let's see the life lesson. Yes, Krishna protects from accidental sins. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he was the desirer of wealth. See the amount of wealth he desired. He wanted the kingdom greater than that of Brahma. But later, when he realized, Krishna accepted him. So even if we have some material desires, better go to Krishna. Krishna will deviate us onto the right path. He will protect us from all the accidental sins that we have. And next is bhakti is very, very purifying. It's only through the process of bhakti that we'll get to know the position of us, the position of Krishna, and how to strengthen the relationship with Krishna. It's only through bhakti, only through the process of devotional service. It's so purifying. So we'll do a quick recap of chapter 13, what we did, and then we'll move on to some question and answers. So first was wise. So W stands for wise question, where Arjuna asked 6 questions about, and then about the body, soul, and the super soul equation that Krishna establishes, that what is body, what is soul, and what is super soul. Next is I, that is items of knowledge. So most important quality was the constant and unalloyed devotion that one should have. Essential quality was accepting a bona fide spiritual master. But other important qualities, it's not that we have to miss all that, but the important qualities are humility, non-violence, self-control, and tolerance. And there are many. I just listed out few. So these were the items of the knowledge, but the most important is constant and unalloyed devotion. And that can only happen when we accept a bona fide spiritual master. And then eventually we can get all these qualities. But among these important qualities, the foremost is humility, because it's only through humility we will be able to submit ourselves to a bona fide spiritual master. Then S stands for soul and super soul. There we saw the attributes of soul, how the soul is fallible, it is contaminated, it is conditioned, and the attributes of super soul, which is infallible, it is the supreme enjoyer and the supreme permitter. Then finally E, we saw enjoyer, and in enjoyer we saw the qualities of Jiva, the qualities of Paramatma. I'm sorry, it should be qualities, not qualitied. It's my mistake. Qualities of Jiva, qualities of Paramatma, and qualities of Prakriti. We all saw that, the comparison table. And then the little deviated section that is about Jnana Chakshu, how to reach perfection. And in Jnana Chakshu, what is our destination, the supreme goal, and how to acquire that Jnana Chakshu, we also dealt in detail. So there we ended this entire 13th chapter. So thank you all so much. Let's see if we have any quick questions or comments, then we can take up.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for such an excellent session. Honestly, 13th chapter was extremely hard to understand. How many other times we read, but today's session gave me so many insights and such a better understanding of this chapter. You really took so much effort to make every single point clear. And thank you so much for taking the time to really prepare and present in a way that we all can understand, Mataji. This was wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Preeti Vilasni Mataji. But trust me, it was all from Prabhupada's purport, because we are doing in a nutshell an overview of the entire chapter. We don't have time to read the purport, but if we go through the purports, the entire purports is condensed in these slides. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we have any question, any comments? Okay, we'll give
you can even type your questions if you're not comfortable asking them.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, could you kindly
So Mataji, this Purusha is same as Kshetragya.
Jayesh Prabhu, 1 minute. Rajeshri
Ji.
Mataji is half
Sorry.
the way to her question.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Can you be a little louder?
Mataji, could you kindly clarify, explain again about the Pradhan and Mahat Tattva?
Oh, yes, I will.
Thank you, Mataji.
Sure. Yes, Jayesh Prabhu, you also have something to say?
Yes, Mataji, I was asking like Purusha is Jeev, right? Like soul. So Purusha is then same as Kshetragya, right? Because soul is again the knower of body.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
So
Yeah.
you stopped me at that point, but I want to clarify it later.
Yeah.
That Kshetragna is also soul and super soul, and Purusha is also soul and super soul. But soul is the just a Purusha, and super soul is the Mahapurusha.
Adipurusha. Yeah, Mahapurusha, right.
Or the Supreme Purusha.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. So Vijayeshwari Mataji's question. So what I was telling about is Pradhan. So Pradhan is the unmanifested form of this entire Prakriti. Okay. When this Prakriti gets manifested, when it comes into being, when the universes are come into being. See, we all know that Karana Dakshai Vishnu, he inhales and he exhales. So when he exhales, all the universes comes into being, and all the universe have its own covering. The covering of earth, covering of air, water, fire, ether, false mind, intelligence, and false ego. So all the universes are having that covering. So till now, when the universes are not into being, are not manifested yet, the Prakriti is in the form of an unmanifested form, which is known as Pradhan, also known as Mahat Tattva. You can just say, I don't want to confuse you all. So it is that Pradhan or Mahat Tattva, which is unmanifested form, which is, as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, is in the form of a cloud. But when this Mahavishnu or the Karnodakshai Vishnu, he glances on that cloud or the unmanifested form, then there is some agitation. And because of that agitation that happens, is the whole, this entire Pradhan comes into being. And when it comes into being in the form of universe's coverings, then that is what is Prakriti. Okay, so when it manifests, it is called Prakriti. When it is unmanifested, it is known as Pradhan. Hope that helps.
Yes, Mataji. Manifest and unmanifested words made me more clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Srinivas Prabhu, you are unmuted. Do you have any question?
Oh, no, Mataji. Mataji, actually, after every chapter, since we are doing only this, I mean, it would be nice if we give the list of all the important slokas.
Oh, okay.
At least just a list of to us.
Yeah. So in this chapter, the important one was the first one we quoted, right? 1 minute. The first question that we quoted, that was the first chapter. So when you see the slides, because slides are also posted in the group, so then you can come to know that all the important shlokas we are quoting, that's for sure. In every chapter, we are quoting all the important questions or important verses. So in this chapter, 13.1 is important, where the 6 questions are being asked by Arjuna. And then we have the, what do you say, the Upadeksha, yeah, Upadrishtanumanta verse. Before that, we have, yes, 13:30, that is Jnana Chakshu, Prakritiyaya Karmani Kriyamanani Sarvasha. 13.30 is important. And then we have this Falashruti, and before that, 13:23 is also important. So 4 verses that has been quoted. So they are very important. So yeah, if you can memorize that, that will be wonderful.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Fifth last verse is actually the Falashruti. So I just quote it because last verse of every chapter is actually very, very important. The start and the last we should always try to know, because from where that chapter is starting and where it is leading to. Okay, anything else? Completely. Okay. Okay, so thank you all so much. I'm so glad that you guys don't have any question. That means that you have understood the chapter. But if anything comes up when you do the revision through this entire week, you can always reach out to any one of us, and we'll be more than happy to assist you, because from here little technical subject matters are starting. So just be patient, because even the Siddhanta should be known, right? And Bhagavad Gita is about all the Siddhanta. So we should know about it. We should not be lazy in understanding it. Okay. So we'll stop here. Preeti Vilasni Mataji, is it okay?
Thank you so much, Kirtida Sundari Mataji. So if there are no other questions, we can end at this point. And we'll meet again next week with chapter 14, which is going to be 3 modes of material nature. We've been talking about it for so long, but we've never elaborated on how these modes work or what they are and what sort of interactions are there. We've never spoken about it. We just say 3 modes of material nature. So that chapter is really, really going to put a lot of light. Like just now, you just realized how much is there in Purusha, Prakriti, and Jiva, right? I mean, what was that? Nature, enjoyer, and super soul. Yeah. So similarly, when you go to the next chapter, you will get more information about the 3 modes of material nature. So it's going to be technical again, but very interesting, because we are all acting through these modes of material nature. So we'll get a lot of understanding about ourselves. So it's going to be good. So please join us next week. We'll end here. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, और ग्रेस कीर्तिदास सुंदरी माता जी की जय.
Thank you,
All
Mataji.
Bhakta-vrinda ki jai.
Thank you.
All glories to all the
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji.
Very
Thank you,
beautiful.
Mataji. Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
thank you.